We are Ben, Jamie, Barry and Mike, the guys at the heart of sorted food. In this series of videos, we look at some of the most popular recipes that feature Lea Perrins Worcestershire sauce.
I say, does it get much more British than steak and mushroom pie?
I'm not convinced it does. Not until you put a dash of Lea Perrins into it.
Aha!
This recipe begins with steak, stewing steak, which we're going to marinate in red wine and Lea Perrins Worcestershire sauce. We'll then sear it off, add mushrooms and root vegetables, and once it's all cooked down as a pie filling, we'll then make a pastry top from flour and butter.
I have to be honest, Ben, I love steak, I love mushrooms, I love pies. This is the perfect meal.
Couldn't possibly go wrong. Well, it starts with the steak. That can all go into a bowl, and we're going to add to it our flavours that are going to help marinate. So first off, half a bottle of red wine.
Lovely.
It seems like a lot, but that also becomes our sauce later on. So don't worry, it's not just for marinating, it's also the base of the pie sauce. Some Lea Perrins, and we'll just put a few splashes in there.
What's that going to add to the dish?
A piquancy and kind of a tartness. It's almost like the vinegar's in here,
Yep.
the onion, the garlic, extra flavour that cuts through the richness of the wine. We also need some herbs in there, so it's fresh as well, some fresh flavours. So if you can just strip some of those into there as well.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if a few of the stalks go in there.
Good, just as well.
Ideally, you then leave that in there for a good number of hours. You do that in the morning and then head off to work or whatever, come back later on.
Yep.
However, today, just to show you, we're going to drain it straight off. But the longer you can leave it, the better.
We're cheeky, aren't we?
We are cheating here. So that's all going to go in there, just to get rid of all the now beefy, winey Lea Perrins and herbs. And into our beef, we can add some flour. So a couple of tablespoons of flour. That's just going to help soak up excess moisture and help us to seal off this beef. Generous pinch of salt and pepper now, it's a good time to add that. And I've got a big casserole pan. What's important is this casserole pan needs to be able to go in the oven. So make sure it's one with a lid, because at this point we add in all of our beef. It's already hot, it's already got a shot of oil in there. And now's a good time to add more earthy flavour. So we've got mushrooms, obviously, thrown in the earth. So if you can just take these, peel them, just with your finger, well held.
Thank you.
Just peel your mushrooms with the back of your thumb, just because that can be a bit leathery, and then cut them up into pieces about the same size as our steak. And meanwhile, I'm going to dice up an onion and a carrot, and they can all go in to join the steak when it's seared off. Now you do need to put a bit of time into making this dish and a bit of care. Not the herb, but the flavours need to mingle, that's why you do it. And then all of these vegetables, the onion, the carrot and the mushroom go into our beef, because these bits of beef, a nice bit of charring, that flavour is what you want. Okay, so that's why we've covered it in flour, really high pan, perfect. Give it one mix up and about a minute or so to start to cook out the basis of that. And now that everything is in this pan, we can add in some tomato puree.
Yep.
And then all of our other flavours left from our marinade. So that whole lot, all the wine, all the Lea Perrins, the thyme and the beef flavour can all go back in here now.
Lovely.
And then if you can grab the kettle from behind, we need an additional 250 ml of water.
Are you doing anything in this recipe, or is it just
Stirring occasionally, but I'm...
Right.
And that's it. It's as simple as that, except that at this point, we need to put a lid onto it and put it into the oven. So it's already preheated at 150 degrees or thereabouts. It's going to go into the oven, and it needs about 2 hours to cook all the way through.
Thanks, Ben.
In the meantime, we can make pastry. So the flour goes in first, and cold butter, and you want to keep going until you have the consistency of breadcrumbs. Now, normal short crust pastry at this point just needs salt and enough water to bind it.
Yep.
But I think steak, mushroom, red wine, and extra flavour in the pastry would also be amazing. So, a few more splashes of Lea Perrins.
Whoa, I've never heard of that before.
No, but I think it just gives you another level, another dimension to our dish. 4 tablespoons, and then just mix that in.
Yep.
We will need a little bit of water in there as well to bind it, but
Okay.
never add too much because it's very difficult to take it out. So a couple of tablespoons at a time, just bring it together, and as soon as it starts to come together, that's enough. Then we need to wrap that up in cling film and put that into the fridge to rest. So that's going to rest up in the fridge for about an hour. Our pie filling is in the oven for 2 hours, and then when it comes out the oven, strain it off through a sieve, keep all the liquids separate so you've got mainly filling without too much liquid, and liquid separate. After the pastry's had time to rest, take a section of it at a time and just roll it out onto a floured surface. Jay, if you can kind of do that. And what we're looking for is something that's about 1 centimetre thick and that will cover our pie dish. And you can do one big pie, or what we're going to do is a number of individual ones. We'll just show you one today. And this is our pie filling. So that can go into our pie dish. It's also helpful when you're doing this if this is cold.
Okay.
Because if this is still hot and steaming, then when you put your pastry on top, it starts to melt before it has a chance to rise. So that's the best way of doing it. And this is the sauce we saved, all of the amazing juice. So a little bit of that, we don't need too much, because when this pie mixture reheats, there'll be plenty in there. I'll just crack an egg, and this will become our egg wash. So a little bit of egg around the top of our pie dish, that just helps this to stick. And then lift it up over your pie. We've got obviously super amount spare here.
Yeah.
And then your best bet is to lift it up and cut around the dish like that. Egg wash right over the top, and then just put a little incision into the top, just allow any steam as it cooks.
Yep.
And then that can go back into an oven at 180, and it needs 30 minutes. Our pie is nearly finished, but before we bring it out of the oven, I'm going to show you how to make an amazing gravy. I've taken one red onion, sliced it up, and sauteed it off until it starts to caramelise. You want those kind of natural sugars in the onion to caramelise. And then a little bit of flour, that's going to thicken it. And all of those beautiful juices from our beef before, that goes in. That gravy just needs to bubble away for a minute or so to cook out any raw flour. You can get a pie out the oven, which with a bit of luck will be golden and crisp. As an addition, we've sorted off some cabbage very, very quickly and simply. That can go on the side. And the gravy, now nice and thick, that can just be transferred into a gravy boat. And there we go, a beautiful, complete meal. It's a steak and mushroom pie with onion gravy and a dash of Lea Perrins, sorted.
That is an incredible steak and mushroom pie.
Layers and layers of flavour. And if you want to give it a go at home, then check out the recipe in the link below.